Welcome to Today in Chess. Today we're looking way beyond the 64 squares. We're diving headfirst into a story where, well, deep personal conviction crashes right into global politics. It's the really dramatic story of Sergey Karjakin, a grandmaster whose whole career has just been completely reshaped by forces far bigger than chess.
Oh, it's definitely dramatic. And look, Karyakin's talent, you can't argue with that. He was genuinely exceptional, but his career path, it's become fractured. I think that's the word. His choices, they didn't just raise eyebrows, they ignited these incredibly polarizing debates. It really pushed this whole question of where sports, specifically chess here, intersects or maybe collides is better. With geopolitics, his stance wasn't quiet. It became this huge flashpoint.
Okay, fractured maybe, but maybe also principled. I mean, our goal today is to really dig into Karjakin's journey. Here's someone who reached the absolute peak, challenging for the world championship.
Oh.
And now, he's on a totally different path. We're going to talk about the sanctions from FIDE, that's FIDE, the International Chess Federation, and later even the European Union. And yeah, we'll get into the very passionate and, frankly, very different arguments for and against his public position. We need to ask, what does this mean for neutral international sports? Is that even a real thing anymore?
Well, principled or provocative? I think we need to be clear-eyed here. Did Karyakin's actions really come from a deeply held conviction, a sense of duty to his country, as he'd argue? Or did his choices fundamentally undermine the spirit of the game he dedicated his life to? Because from where I'm sitting, that's a serious question. These aren't easy answers.
Exactly. And what about FIDE's reaction? Was that ban fair? Was it justified based on their rules? Or was it, like some people argue, heavily influenced by politics from the outside, maybe setting a worrying precedent for chess and maybe other sports too? We'll explore all of that. So to really get the scale of this, we need to go back. Understand the man himself, Sergey Karjakin. His rise was, well, meteoric. Born in Crimea in 1990, learned chess at 5, and then becomes a grandmaster at 12 years and 7 months old. That was a record then. Just incredible talent. And it's interesting, he actually played for Ukraine until 2009. Then he switched to Russia. A big decision, sure, but maybe understandable given his background.
Undeniable talent, yes. He was absolutely part of the chess elite, no question. And his career really hit its high point challenging Magnus Carlsen for the World Championship in 2016. He was a top contender, one of the very best.
Oh, that 2016 match in New York. That was pure drama. Karjakin pushed Carlsen right to the absolute edge. He even took the lead after game 8. I mean, nobody saw that coming. Carlsen, the champion, only just managed to scrape through in the rapid tie breaks. And let's not forget Karjakin's other big titles, World Rapid Champion, World Blitz Champion, a World Cup winner. This guy was a major force in chess, a genuine top player.
Right. So we have this picture, immense talent, cop the game, but, and this is crucial, his public profile was about to get tangled up completely with these massive geopolitical shifts. He wasn't just a chess star anymore. His platform became a battleground.
And what a battleground.
Yeah.
After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Karjakin became, well, let's say, extremely outspoken, very vocal in supporting Russia's war effort. We're talking public letters, going to occupied areas in Ukraine, apparently helping coordinate military aid. From his point of view, you could argue this was deep patriotism, loyalty. He picked his side and stood by it. No apologies. To me, that shows conviction, whatever you think of the side he chose.
Patriotism. I think that's putting it mildly, maybe too generously. Okay, personal convictions exist, fine. But we have to talk about how inflammatory his comments were, using terms like Nazis for Ukrainians, blaming the West for the war. I mean, come on. These weren't just quiet thoughts shared with friends. This was loud, public, and really, really divisive stuff from a major global figure in chess. FIDE had to respond, didn't they? How could they not?
And they did respond. March 2022, their Ethics and Disciplinary Commission hit him with a 6-month ban. Cited Article 2.2.0 of their Code of Ethics, the bit about bringing the game into disrepute. And bam, just like that, he's out of the 2022 candidates tournament. Crucial tournament. Now, I still question if that was fair. Was it really about disrepute? Or was FIDE feeling the heat politically, sacrificing a player? Karjakin himself called it shameful, said he had no regrets, country comes first. That sounds like someone standing on principle to me.
But FIDE's ruling wasn't just about feeling heat. They laid it out pretty clearly. They found his actions did damage the reputation of chess and FIDE itself precisely because he had such a huge global profile. They specifically mentioned the massive negative reaction online and elsewhere to his statements. This wasn't some minor technicality. It dragged the whole sport down. And here's something interesting. Karjakin says, no regrets, I won't appeal. But then the Russian Chess Federation did appeal for him. What does that tell you? To me, that shows a gap between maybe his personal defiance and the Federation realizing, uh-oh, This is actually bad for Russian chess internationally. And this whole Karyakin thing, it really wasn't just about him. It was like a symptom of this massive internal struggle going on inside FIDE. Jump forward to September 2024, the FIDE General Assembly in Budapest. Big vote on the table: keep the sanctions against Russian and Belarusian teams or not. This wasn't just ticking a box. It was a serious test of FIDE's whole claim to be neutral, a real stress test.
Yeah, and it was messy. The delegates did vote to keep the main team banned. But then, right at the last minute, FIDE President Arkady Dvorkovich, who's Russian, remember, puts forward this idea. Yeah. Let's consider lifting some restrictions just for, like, vulnerable groups, kids under 12, players with disabilities. And that part did pass. But look at the vote. 66-41 to keep the team ban overall. Only 21 wanted all sanctions lifted. To me, that looks like they were trying to find some kind of compromise, a bit of pragmatism maybe, trying to balance the politics with, individuals.
Pragmatism, that faced huge pushback, though. The European Chess Union, lots of Western federations, they were really against the idea of lifting all sanctions, which the Kyrgyz Federation proposed. They saw it as completely undermining any sense of accountability. This wasn't about finding a middle ground for them. It was about drawing a line. You can't just look the other way when a country invades another.
But hang on, the arguments for lifting sanctions had some weight too, didn't they? People were saying it's unethical to punish individual players for their government's actions. They talked about Russia being this great chess nation, historically, penalizing the whole game, erasing that legacy because of politics. Is that right? These people were genuinely trying to keep chess separate from politics, weren't they? Trying to preserve the unity of the game.
Keep politics out of chess. That sounds nice, but how do you do that? Especially when, as the Ukrainian delegate Viktor Kapustin pointed out so devastatingly, he invoked the memory of 34 Ukrainian chess players, coaches, officials killed by the Russians. He basically said, how can you talk about human rights when the Russian Chess Federation board itself has people linked to the war? And Malcolm Payne from England put it bluntly, if politics shouldn't be in chess, why is a former defense minister on the board of the Russian Chess Federation? He argued the most basic right is not to have your country invaded. Plus, lifting sanctions could have seriously damaged FIDE's relationship with the International Olympic Committee. This had real-world consequences beyond just who plays in what tournament. So Karyakin's FIDE ban eventually ran out, but the story wasn't over. The consequences actually got bigger. February 2025, third anniversary of the full-scale invasion. And this time, it's not a sports body. It's the European Union. They added Karyakin to their official sanctions list.
Right, and the EU was very specific about why. They pointed to his continued active support for the war. Mentioned the visits to occupied territories again, the military aid coordination. This isn't just symbolic talk. We're talking frozen assets in the EU, a travel ban. For an international chess player, that's it's massive, a huge practical hit to his career. But again, it also shows how seriously his actions were being taken, how much impact he was seen to have.
And Karyakin's response, pure defiance, almost mocking, you could say. He reportedly said something like, sad they didn't include me earlier. I'm happy to work for my country. Okay, it shows unwavering commitment to his side, sure. But it also shows, frankly, a complete willingness to sacrifice his international chess career for it. He knew the cost. His chess career essentially became collateral damage in his political stand.
Which brings us right back to that really difficult, fundamental question for all international sports, doesn't it? Where's the line? When does an athlete's personal politics, no matter how controversial, become grounds for sports bodies, or even political blocs like the EU, to basically end their international career? It's such a complex ethical knot. Principles versus practicalities. He made his choices, yes, but was the response proportionate? It's tough.
It is tough. And the reality now is, even though the FIDE ban is over, he's essentially persona non grata for a lot of tournament organizers worldwide. And crucially, he flat out refuses to play under a neutral flag. That's the FIDE rule for Russian athletes now. So if he won't do that, well, his international career is effectively stalled. His rating's inactive. He chose this path, and these are the consequences of that choice.
But look at the flip side. While his international chess career has faded, his political career in Russia seems to be taking off. He got a state honor from Putin himself. He's been elected as a senator representing annexed Crimea. So one door closes, another opens, you could say. Which leads me to think, was his current situation really caused by FIDE in the EU? Or was it ultimately dictated by his own choices? His very public, very unwavering choices. I'd argue strongly it was the latter. He traded one career path for another, eyes wide open.
So, wrapping this all up, Sergey Karjakin's story is just this incredible journey from elite chess champion to being right at the heart of a global political firestorm. It's such a stark illustration of how these huge international conflicts can just tear through even things we think of as universal, like chess. The impact goes way, way beyond the board.
Yeah, and it shines a really bright, maybe uncomfortable light on the challenge FIDE and all international sports bodies are facing now. That old ideal, sport above politics. I feel like it's really struggling against the hard realities of war, human rights abuses. Can that ideal even survive, I wonder?
Karjakin's case highlights the personal cost, for sure, but also the responsibility that comes with having that global stage. When athletes become such strong advocates for national political agendas, especially ones viewed negatively by much of the world, where is that line between personal belief and professional responsibility to the sport? It's messy.
Can any global sport really stay neutral anymore? When its players, its governing bodies are constantly being forced into these decisions that echo so far beyond the game itself. It really feels like the game is fundamentally changed. The big question is, has the board itself been permanently tilted?
You've been listening to Today in Chess. If you found this discussion interesting, please do like this video and definitely leave us a comment with your own thoughts on Sergey Karjakin's story. We'd love to hear them. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more conversations like this one.